Yes, GS Paul again, please. I'm going to talk to you about sense organs. If you remember, we are doing the nervous system, and in the nervous system we had central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and sense organs. We have done with the central nervous system, the peripheral nervous system, and now we are dealing with the sense organs, which is eye, ear, skin, nose, and tongue. Now, we'll be talking about the eye today. I will request, before I start the lesson, I will request you to give it a thumbs up. I mean, an indication of that you have liked it. You must like it because I'm talking about your own eye, and you are trying to understand how the eye functions. And then I will request you to pass this information, to share this with your friends and the group of friends that you have. And also press the button of notification so that when I bring in the next video, you get a notification that there's another video come up. So after having made those 3 requests, I start with the eye. Now, eye is normally considered as eyeball because it looks like a ball. Had it been lesson in person, that means the classroom, I would have brought the actual eye in the classroom and shown you the different parts of the eye, and you would have liked it. Actually, we can bring the eye of that of a sheep or that of a goat from the mortuary, and that's a good education. But now, because of the limitations that we have to do it the virtual lessons, and therefore no in-person classes. But anyway, so it is called as a ball. That's what I am trying to tell you. So if it would have been a actual class, I would have shown you the eye and shown you that it's a ball. Because it's an eye, it's a ball, is often called as eyeball. Now this ball, I mean the eye, has 3 layers. The outer one is called the sclera, the middle one is called the choroid, and the inner one is called the retina. Those 3 layers, and then there's an empty space inside, as there is also in the ball. Now, sclerotic is a white layer. It is fleshy, and it is the outermost layer. The second layer is a choroid, which is very fragile, and it is generally brown in color, or sometimes blue in color. And then we have the retina. Now I'll start with the retina. The retina has an optic nerve which comes out of the eye as a nerve-like structure. Now the retina itself is made up of certain cells, special type of cells called rod cells and cone cells. Rod cells and cone cells. These are special type of cells which are particularly present in the eye and are sensitive to light. These rod cells and cone cells are not present at the point where the optic nerve comes out. So because there are no cells there, hence this spot of the retina is not sensitive to light. Therefore, this is called as the blind spot. Now, above the blind spot, there's a spot called the yellow spot where actually the image is formed. Where the rays of light, as they come, they make the image at the yellow spot. Now, as I've said, the whole retina is made up of the cells, special cells, which are sensitive to light, called the rod cells and cone cells. The retina in the front region is thrown into a depression. Now this depression makes a space here, and that space is called the aqueous chamber. I mean, this space here is the aqueous chamber. And there's a space inside the retina, and that is called the vitreous chamber. The vitreous chamber is filled with a fluid which is transparent, and it is like white of an egg. So that's you could have seen if I would have brought it. I mean, if it would have been a lesson in the classroom, I would have shown that. So it is just like the white of an egg. Now, the second layer, choroid, is brown in color and is light proof. That means it does not let the light to come in or to come out. In some cases, the choroid is blue in color. You see this choroid in the eye. The blue thing or black thing in your eye you see is the choroid. In the middle of the choroid, there's a space called the pupil of the eye. And the choroid in the region of the aqueous chamber is changed into a structure called the iris. The iris has a hole in the middle, and that hole is called the pupil of the eye. Now this pupil of the eye, that hole can be increased or decreased in its diameter depending upon the amount of light. If the amount of light is more, I mean intensity of light is more, the pupil of the eye closes so that less light goes into the retina or into the eye. And if the intensity is more, then it closes. When the intensity is less, it opens up so that the more light goes inside the retina. This ability of the pupil of the eye to close or open up is because of the presence of certain muscles in the iris, and these muscles are called the sphincter muscles. The muscles which can control the aperture of the pupil of the eye are sphincter muscles. Now, the choroid is richly supplied with blood, and it gives the food and the nutrition both to the sclerotic as well as to the sclera as well as to the retina. Now, toward the outer side is the sclera, which is a fleshy layer, white in color. You can see in your eyes there's a white structure, that is sclera. And this sclera goes and covers the optic nerve so that the impulse, electrical impulse that passes through the optic nerve is insulated, cannot escape. The sclerotic is fleshy and white, as I said. In the front region, the sclera is covered over by means of another transparent layer called the cornea. through which the light can pass, and I mean easily pass. Now, the space between the cornea and the depression of the retina, this space is actually called the aqueous chamber. Aqueous chamber. And this aqueous chamber is filled with a fluid called aqueous humor. This is also transparent so that light can pass through. Now, in this aqueous chamber is suspended a lens called the crystalline lens, and this crystalline lens is suspended in the aqueous chamber with the help of these muscles called ciliary muscles. Now, these ciliary muscles help the lens to become thin and thick. When the lens is thin, its focal length is more. When the lens is thick, its focal length is less. In such a way that it can make the images of the distant objects when it is thin, focal length is more, and these objects which are at a distance can be focused at the retina. And when you read the book, that means the objects are close to the eye, then it becomes the focal length of the lens decreases. Hence, the image can be formed on the retina. This ability of the eye or that of the lens to increase the focal length or decrease the focal length, and hence make the images of distant objects and the close-up objects on the retina is called the power of accommodation. Power of accommodation. Now, that is about the structure of the eye. Now, we have some muscles of the eye. As I have already said, there is a sphincter muscle in the iris which controls the pupil of the eye, and there is a muscle of the ciliary muscle which controls the thickness of the lens, hence the focal length of the lens, and there are certain muscles which are around the eye which can make the eye go up and down, on sideways, and even in the diagonally. These muscles are present on the outer side of the eye. Now, there are certain muscles on the ball of the eye which can press the ball of the eye like that and increase the distance between the lens and the retina, thus increasing the focal length of the lens. And those muscles can decrease also. That means they can make the eye like that. This also helps this also helps the eye in power of accommodation. That means ability to make the images of the objects at a distance and the images of the objects which are close up. Now, in addition to this, we have certain defects of the eye. The most common are particularly in old age people. There is a defect which is called cataract. In the cataract, what happens is that the protein present in the lens of the eye disintegrates and becomes cloudy. Hence, the image that we see is not very clear, it's blurred. There's a remedy for it, and it is, of course, a very little small procedure by means of which this lens is removed and another lens is placed, artificial lens, inside the eye, which can focus the objects at the distance or the close-up. You see, this ability or this defect of the eye is called myopia or hypermetropia. That is, the eye can focus the objects at a small distance, short distance, and called short-sightedness, and can focus the objects which are at a longer distance, called the long-sightedness. Now this short-sightedness actually comes in when you read the book for a long time, keeping it close. The lens loses its ability of accumulation of power. Hence its focal length becomes less. Hence you can see only the objects at a smaller distance. The ciliary muscles cannot pull the lens to become thin. Hence we cannot see clearly the objects at the distance. Similarly, if the ciliary muscles are contracted and the lens is made thin, I mean the focal length is increased, then the distance, the objects at a short distance cannot be seen. That's called as long-sightedness. Now, in addition to cataract, short-sightedness, long-sightedness, there is another defect which becomes quite evident actually in case of old people. The image is not formed at the yellow spot. Yellow spot is also called macula. This is because of the disintegration of the cells present at the yellow spot. So these are some of the defects of the eye. Now that's all what I wanted to tell you about the eye. I mean, I have told you the structure, how the function image is formed at the yellow spot or the macula, and how the muscles of the eye work, and some of the disorders of the eye. I repeat in the end, as you know, this is a lesson in virtual lesson, not in the classroom. You must have some questions coming into your mind. All those questions you can ask in the comments section. I will answer all those possible questions as soon as possible. And I will request in the end also to share this information with some of your friends and the group of your friends, and give a thumbs up, that you have liked it. And also press that button of notification. So when I bring another video, and you will be notified that another video has come. With all those things, I finished today's lesson. Thank you very much.